Well, g'day guys, and welcome to this EATE podcast. Here at EATE, we're trying to keep the hospitality industry's doors open. If you're in a cafe, a bar or a restaurant and you're looking for custom, we want you to sign up to our landing page and we'll tell people that you're open for business. We're proud of our food scene here in Brisbane. It's so strong. We're not going down without a fight. We've put too much into this to let it die on the vine. We want you to sign up, share the page with your customers. We'll do some talking, we'll raise some issues, we'll answer some questions, and we're definitely going to rattle some cages, and we want you to contribute too. Joining us on this very first EATE podcast on this Friday afternoon, we have Amanda Scott. Needs no introduction to the food and restaurant game here. The Continental Cafe, Gertie's, Milk, Sophia's, you name it. She's been involved in it for many years. Thanks for joining us. I know you're a busy lady this afternoon.
Pleasure, Dean.
It's great to have you here. And also from Dalton, Jerome Dalton is on the line. Jerome operates out of the Tivoli, very well known. And Jerome, I guess I'd credit you with getting this ball rolling because we've been watching your social media over the last couple of days. And let's face it, we're in dire straits, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not. I don't think you certainly couldn't overreact to a situation where an industry has been shut down in a period of 48 hours, almost entirely. For sure, it is. It's been a tough industry for 5 years, and it's the last of time, and this is not helping.
Maybe you can bring us up to speed. I mean, tell us what sort of day you've had today, Amanda. What's going on out there in hospitality in Brisbane today?
It's really terrifying. Lots of adrenaline, so you've got to decide, are you going to use your adrenaline to tap dance on thin ice, or are you going to just crash and burn? So for as long as we can, we're going to tap dance on thin ice. So even today we had to learn within the last hour that we can only have 25 people in a space of 100 square metres. So every day now we keep changing our systems. We go to takeaway cups only. We have an app, a wonderful platform that was created in Brisbane by a lovely young guy who spent all of his money having it developed by local Brisbane guys, and it's called You Order. So people can sit at the table and order their food and not have to come to the counter to connect with us.
Well, tell us about that. So You Order, is that up and running now?
Up and running. We had our first order yesterday. Chris Tuvey, whose company it is, UORDA, the way Australians say You Order.
Yeah.
And basically we have attached it to our website and our Facebook and our Instagram, and you can click on it. Our menu comes up at home on your phone. You can order what you want and click pick up and come and pick it up. We can't deliver yet because we don't have insurance for delivery, and Uber, things like that are way too expensive for us.
Of course, yeah. And we might have a bit of a chat further about that, about how people are keeping their doors open. Jerome, firstly, let's start with government and red tape and the drama that's going on. We'll also, I guess we should also throw a bouquet to the banking system, which have done some remarkable stuff today. Can you just bring us up to speed, I guess, from the point of view of business owners on what's happening today?
Yeah, sure. Look, there have been some good incentives from government. I mean, in their defence, this has been a very fast-moving beast, and to find out exactly, or to guess exactly how it's going to affect particular industries would have been difficult. I think they have missed the boat and missed the ball at this point on small business, on hospitality, particularly events, music, arts. There are some really, really, really hard hit industries, and I don't think reducing the tax on PAYG is something that is going to help. I mean, our payroll has obviously been decimated, and that means people lost their jobs. There is a reduction on the cost of what we would have paid those staff had they still had jobs. It's pretty much giving you a fuel card when your car's on fire. There's not much in that for us. There's a few other bits and pieces that can help and will help. There's some rebate on apprentices. I think the reason for that is probably not as, we're going to end up with no skilled staff in hospitality at the end of this should people drop out of traineeships and apprenticeships. So there's a little bit of support there. Ultimately, yes, you talked about red tape. There needs to be a reduction in red tape on a couple of things, and my first theory on that is that we need to be able to deliver craft beer, some wine, beverages with our delivery services. So everyone in the industry has jumped on that delivery services. Our customers still want to eat our food. They can't. They don't want to come in, or they're scared to come in, or the changes just keep moving so fast that people don't want to commit to that. So delivery is pretty much delivery and pickup, are the only lifeline available to us as an industry at the moment. And as Amanda said, that's just changed. So that the figure's on a 100 square metre restaurant doing 25 covers, you wouldn't take that business on. You would never take that business model on. It's not something that works. It's never going to work.
And I think that includes staff, Jerome. I think that means 25 people per 100 square metres. Yeah. So if you've got 4 staff working, you're down to 21 customers.
I mean, that's not a business model. You couldn't give me that business. You wouldn't go near that. So there's a few things that need to happen. I mean, we talked when they first introduced the GST about payroll tax being cut. Now we're still not seeing that. We're seeing a reduction in it. So there's 2 things for me. I mean, the first one is that reduction in payroll tax it's a bit smoke and mirror. There's not much in it. The second one,
Jerome,
that we all talked about it.
Can you explain for people who don't have to pay it about payroll tax? Because a lot of small operators who haven't been in this game as long as we have don't even know what it is, or that they'll have to pay it one day. The incentive for hiring more people.
It's a tough one because it shouldn't exist and it's hard to understand, in my opinion. I'll let you go for it, Amanda. You're probably better.
Well, basically, if you hire enough people that one day your bill for staff for the year is $1 million, then you have to pay an extra tax because you hired so many people.
It doesn't make any sense at all.
It's an incentive to keep hiring. Basically, it's a disincentive. So you go, we're getting so big and we're hiring so many people and giving so many jobs, we're going to have to pay more tax. So, of course, then people go, we better not hire anybody else.
Yeah. The immediate problem, Jerome, I think that you've identified pretty quickly, and that is people's aversion to going out at the moment and enjoying themselves, for goodness sake. I can't believe, it's like we're living in some sort of weird movie. It's frightening that this thing is coming, but that's a separate issue. Let's talk about how we can do. And you're talking about delivery of food, and I see Montrachet. I think for the first time ever, I think I saw the owner of Montrachet talking on television last night, talking about the great opportunity to eat that delicious food in your own home. And I've got this great idea that me as a consumer, not in your game, you guys, but. I'm going to talk to my wife and my family about eating, about dining. We dine out at home, a couple of days a week, 3 or 4 days a week, so we can help to support these businesses and keep these doors open. We have to. We've got such a beautiful scene here. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I think I think that's the thing right now. I'm not sure why people are. I mean, with the social distancing and everything that we know about keeping our family safe, and I know my grandmother's 97 years old. I'm not putting her at risk. I'm not afraid to go out though. I'm not afraid to. Well, currently I'm in self-isolation, so I can't. But I'm not afraid to go out and spend money. And I've been eating, particularly in those hard-hit places like the Valley, and I've been very verbal about being there up until this point. I'm here again, guys. Please, if you don't use it, we lose it. You need to come to these places. You need to. That Chinese barbecue is not going to be here if you don't. Amanda's cafe that employs so many people is not going to be there if you don't. I'm not sure why people at this point in time are not still going out, carefully going out, obeying the government directives and supporting the businesses that support them.
You're right. And I'm seeing people like Claire Parvis, putting social media out saying, we've got sanitizer here. We've separated. We've done the social distancing. Please come in and eat. And you're absolutely right. There is no reason. There's no law. There's no reason as to why we can't go out and eat, provided we stick to the rules that have been laid out by the government. Correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's odd that people are choosing not to. And I'm not sure if it's a bit of social commentary, whether it's a general fear, whether they're not sure of the rules, whether they don't want to be seen to be being flippant about it. And no one's being flippant about it. We're suggesting that it should still happen.
I often think, 100 years ago, our grandparents found out what happened in their village, and 50 years ago, our parents found out what happened in their city, and now we hear what's happening in Fortaleza in Brazil and what's happening in Italy. So suddenly people are hearing about people dying in countries so far away, but we're sitting in our living rooms or in our cafes or in our kitchens listening to it, so it's much more frightening. So I think part of the reason people are so scared is that they're hearing too much about something they don't know about, and even experts are telling them different things from day to day. I hope that it will settle and people will come out again. But I think partly we're just hearing so much information from so many people and information we don't need. We don't really need to know what's happening in Russia right now.
I mean, we're in the Valley, and you could fire a cannon down any one of these streets at the moment, Ann Street, you know, at a point in time when it's normally busy, and it looks like maybe the big businesses have, some of these big corporations have sent their staff, home. Doesn't mean while they're sitting at home that they can't be enjoying some nice food. And so let's step away from that for a minute and talk about how we can motivate this industry into marketing itself as an industry that can deliver food to people's homes. How are you going to do that? How are you going to make that giant step? Because that's the one that we have to focus on, I guess.
Jerome, do you want me to start answering that from my
Yeah,
point of view?
please do. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, I think there's a real advantage to having been in this game a while, because you've seen some bad things before, and you have to be so flexible already in hospitality. You don't know from day to day when things are great how many people are going to turn up, whether they're going to like you, whether they're going to say something nice, whether they're going to give you a good review. So we're used to insecurity. We're used to gambling every day. This is just bigger stakes. If you're not using social media, that would be very unfortunate, because at least with social media, we can engage with our guests, which we're doing every day now. And a lot of them are engaging back. Some are doing hashtags, you know, we won't forget you. We might isolate, but we won't abandon you. There's so much good stuff happening on social media if you have that platform and you've been using it. So we're using that every day, and we're listening to our guests, and we're delivering what they want. And if they like something we're doing it more. And if they don't, we stop doing it. So that's one thing. But it's probably a little bit easier for me, Jerome, and my family, because we have cafes and our customers see us, where a lot of yours are discreet guests, aren't they? And it's catering, so you don't have quite the same interaction.
That's right. Yeah, I mean that marketing via platforms like Facebook and Instagram for us is important. I mean, like I think Amanda, like you said in the beginning of this, we either give up today or we keep pushing through. So for us, during difficult times in hospitality, and let's face it, there are a lot. There have been a lot. We're used to this, like you said. We're the most flexible, adaptable, strongest, hardworking society of people you'll meet. It's not. We don't give up easily. There are limited options for us at the moment, and one of those is take-home delivery. Using those platforms, there's a few hospitality hashtags that are getting around at the moment, and there is a bit of support. I think people really need to understand the faces of hospitality and the people behind it. The guy or the girl who made your coffee last week, they go home, they have kids, they have a family, they have bills, they pay rents. They were only earning, for what for the cafe is a lot of money, but for an individual in society is not. They were only earning casual wages. They don't have a job unless we support them. So your $4 for your coffee. The cafe might make, what are we, 5.5%, 7% on that, and the restaurants. But supporting those families and those people is really important. So we really just need to get that face of hospitality out. We're here. We're not. Hospitality has a good a history of pretending everything's okay, of saying, hey, we're okay. We're doing well. We love our industry. At the moment, we're not. And we really need people to understand that faces behind hospitality are family. They're their friends, their colleagues, they're people that everybody knows that don't survive without that. They've got nowhere else to go. There are no new industries. There are real people behind this. So for us, our customer base is very, very supportive. We're doing the take-home meals. We're starting tomorrow. We've reinvested. So we paid a photographer. We've bought food, we've done photo shoots, we're doing remarketing, we're working with the guys to help us with our marketing. We've invested money into their businesses. So for us, right now, we're spending, and that's going to come to a grinding halt very quickly if we don't get that support.
Yeah.
So
how can people buy food off you, Jerome, at the moment? Where can they do that? How do they do that?
Well, they can contact us through Facebook, Instagram, and the website. We're launching our delivery service today. We wanted to be in a position where we could make it an ongoing exercise. We've launched Deli by Dalton, Eurocentric Deli, and we're launching the home deliveries. We're hoping that the government and OLGR are going to come on board with liquor licensing ability. So you'll see some stuff from us coming out in the next 12 hours.
Right.
We didn't want a half launch. We want something that's sustainable, and we're not sure how long this will go for, and it forms part of our business model moving forward. So we'll always be doing this from now on. It's been difficult to do in the past, and like Amanda said, Uber, those platforms that are saying, "Hey, look at us, we're helping." I mean, they're hitting a boom right now. So for them to say, "Oh, look, we've just invested more money in marketing," it's pretty gross.
And to be honest,
there's no help.
To pay 35%. So out of an $11 meal, $1 goes to the government in GST, and that leaves you 10. And then if you're meant to give Uber $3.50, that leaves you $6.50.
Wow.
If you're paying legal rates, which we do, if you're paying rent, if you're paying your suppliers within 30 days, and you're buying quality food, you will not make money. That model is completely flawed. You cannot do all of that right and make money. And
agreed. It's been flawed for years. The desperation of people to take that on is based on having to because the neighbours did. It's a forced system that we all know doesn't work.
I guess too, Jerome, the good news is that we're flexible as an industry. The sad thing is that we've been teetering for quite some time. There's been so much bad news about our industry and people like Columbaris and Neil Perry and so much nastiness out there as though everybody in this industry makes a lot of money and we've all been ripping everybody off. And in fact, most 70% of hospitality is teetering at any one time anyway. So for a lot of these places, they were already in trouble.
We're talking with Amanda Scott of Farmhouse Kidron, the best place to go and get a coffee and some breakfast in Kidron. It's a beautiful spot, a unique spot, and one that you should visit tomorrow. You've got something unique happening. And I'll mention Jerome Dalton to Dalton Catering on the phone. He's in fact in isolation because Jerome's been out of the country for a day doing something, not on holidays, by the way. Doing something really nice that I know he doesn't want to talk about. But
charity. Jerome does all this secret charity, feeding people, feeding disadvantaged people. He's not going to say it. Feeding people in other countries.
You're a bloody champion, mate.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, and it's heartbreaking to see what's going on here with good people, and not just you, but there are good people right throughout this industry. That you're right. It's show business. The margins are so skinny. We've got this bloody storm coming, and we need to do something about it. And that's why we're trying to encourage you to get some takeaway from these restaurants, bars and clubs that are trying to stay open through this bloody shitstorm that's on its way. It's I can't put it in a nicer way. I'm sorry. So what we want you to do, we've got a landing page here. We want anybody who's in the industry, anybody that's connected to a restaurant or bar that's fighting for business tooth and nail, to sign up to this page. And what we're going to try and do is we're going to put some money behind this at EATE. And we are, you're right, social media, we'll do it ourselves. We'll get the message out to the people. That's the point. And we want the people of Brisbane, southeast Queensland and surrounds to support these businesses. The bloody irony in the fact that, you've got people fighting over, packets of caged eggs at Woolworths right now, and we've got all these restaurants sitting there waiting, for people to call them and deliver wonderful food. It's just ridiculous.
Well, my Woolies has a limit of 2 kilos of flour per person, and considering that we grow wheat here, I found that quite astonishing. Yeah. I don't think we're ever going to run out of flour, especially with the number of gluten-free fanatics we've got now. So I find that really interesting. We've limited flour.
Well, we really encourage you, if you're a consumer, if you're somebody that goes to these restaurants, to please, over the course of the next month, 2 months, 6 months, whatever, just guarantee us that 2 or 3 or 5 nights a week, a lot of people won't be paying their mortgages. The banks have come rushing to the aid of people with mortgages. What we're trying to do is keep these businesses open. And so please, we'd encourage, and don't go through Uber, go directly to the source. Go to the URL of these restaurants. I think this is amazing, Jerome, that you guys are setting up your own delivery services. You said you're going to get in a car and deliver this food yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, not right now, but our staff, like I said, we have no work for our 15 casuals last week stopped working, and they're all, I consider them friends. They're long-term employees. I would trust them with the keys to my house. They're not randoms. These people are real. So yes, we will deliver ourselves. We will be taking the inquiries. I'll be taking inquiries myself at Dalton Catering. We will deliver. We'll be flexible. We'll cook like we've always done. We'll cook people what they want. We'll have a menu. But, we're here to service the same as we always are in hospitality. It's absolutely. It's just a matter of a slightly different format. And any money that's spent with our business or any other hospitality business will help those casuals. And people need to understand also they're casuals who spend money.
Jerome, you'll find there's a really lovely lot of good stories once you start delivering. My husband and I delivered within a kilometre of our cafe today to 5 different people who are isolated, and we asked our customers from Farmhouse if you know anybody who can't leave the house, nominate them for a free meal. And we were meant to do one a day, but we got a bit carried away today. And people come out to the door and they're so excited that you've brought them some food that they can't go out for. Firstly, you realise how much less fortunate a lot of people are. And then we've had customers coming in saying, here's $15, I'd like to pay for you to take an extra meal out tomorrow. Somebody else wrote, somebody's birthday, can I pay you? It's like, no, we're happy to do it for free at the moment because this is the community that supported us for our first 3 years. But the goodwill in the community when you're talking to your locals and how they support you in supporting other people who are less fortunate has been really, really gobsmacking.
It's another way that perhaps you could, buy your mum and dad dinner, and get it sent to, or your son and daughter, or whatever. That's a nice novel approach and a nice way to help contribute. You've got an event on tomorrow, haven't you?
We are moving our tables into our car park and closing our car park, which is very risky because the council took over our road 4 weeks ago and have managed to fix 100 metres of the road in those 4 weeks. So it's been really hard to get to our cafe in Kidron anyway. But we're closing our car park and putting our tables in the car park, so there are miles between every table. And then a lovely engineer across the road has offered us his car park for parking, and the old Kidron Bowls Club parking space is going to be available. So we're going to feed people in the car park, and they're going to order from their telephone.
So this will be Saturday the 21st.
Saturday and Sunday.
So Saturday and Sunday, the 21st and 22nd of March. Do people need to book or just rock up?
For the first time in 3 years, we don't have any bookings this weekend, so you can certainly book.
It's outrageous, isn't it?
We've never had no bookings on a Saturday or Sunday in the 3 years that business has been open, but we do now.
Well, look, we want to continue to promote this and push this, and obviously we want people to engage, underneath watching this on social media to tell us what they think we need to do. We want to try and make this a focal point too. And as I said to you, Amanda, I said if we keep one person in work because of this, then every bit helps.
Yep.
I mean, our media business, our phones have stopped this week too, and I'm not going to sack my staff. We're going to just try and do something, in a positive way. Get this we had this platform sitting there, ready to go. We've done nothing with it for 6 months. I said to Adam, my business partner, we'll turn the key on it today and just try and get something going before this thing arrives. But in wrapping up, guys, is there anything else that you want to say, either to your fellow industry colleagues or to consumers that are listening to this?
Jerome?
Look, there's a lot of stuff. We've been in business for 16 years, and we do, as you guys have alluded to, we give back as much as we can. We've been very, very strong in looking after our community and our individuals and our employees. We're at a position at the moment where we have 2 of our full-timers. We want to keep them employed. We don't mind what that looks like. We would love to come out the other end. We deserve to. It is tough. Support those locals, and I can promise you that the people you think are doing okay, they're not in this industry. The restaurants, those really, really big ones, those really high turnover, those big businesses that are owned by corporations. Do you know what? I'm not too fussed. I worry about the staff, but not the business. The small businesses, the family businesses, there is no one who's been doing well for the last 12 months. Get out there and spend some money with them if you can. Support them. Like you say, contact them direct. Forget the platforms if you have a better option.
Yeah. Because
35% of your money goes, and that eventually that comes back on the plate. That 35% gives you a better meal if we can stop that stuff happening. The other thing for governments, look, we've got to be swift and make some good decisions. We're throwing money around as a government trying to help industry, but with something like lessening the red tape on delivery of small volumes of alcohol with meals is going to encourage people to spend. There is, as far as I'm concerned, no risk to liquor licensing. There's no risk to juniors. It's the same as Dan Murphy's delivers. The big companies get 50% of every dollar of liquor sold in Queensland goes to, I think Woolworths is most of it. If we can get that back to small businesses, those guys are doing okay.
Yeah.
So let's do that.
Yeah.
The other one we need to look at as the recovery starts is abolishing the EATE and letting people who do spend. So the people who've got money and good on them, they want to go out and spend it in a restaurant. Let's allow them to do that, allow more casual staff, allow the restaurant to flourish, and allow them to spend more money back into the society. We're working on a GSE-based economy where 10% of every dollar spent goes to government. Let's let people spend. I think we need to readjust and look at what we were doing in the 80s, allow restaurants to have people having business meetings to spend money and to claim that as a deduction. Let them do it. They're employing casuals.
For sure. And you know what? We're building a bridge across, there's some dark stuff coming. But as you and I spoke earlier on the phone today, we've got to remember that we're going to get through this. But we're not going to, we're going to get through it. No one knows how, but it's going to eventually end. And let's hope that, that a bomb hasn't gone off and we've lost this beautiful, we're so proud of Brisbane as a destination for food and entertainment. Let's hope that, we can survive the storm. And the only way we can do that is if we all get together and look after each other.
And remember, Australia produces enough food to feed 75 million people a year, and we only have 25 million here. So even if your guests or your friends are not interested in supporting cafes and restaurants and bars, we're the people who buy from farmers. We're the people who are buying all of the things from those country towns that need support. I grew up in Bateman's Bay, and we had an ice cream shop there, and that's how I had my first taste of hospitality. And I watched Bateman's Bay burn down, my hometown, this summer. And then I watched the fires head up to Bowral, which was the next town that I had my job in summer in hospitality. So, there's all these people out there in all sorts of industries, tourism, farming, food, not just cafes and restaurants. So think about the ripple effect of what you do when you spend in a cafe or a restaurant or in a catering company.
Well, thank you both guys for your time today. And let's just see if we, can't get some conversion on this. And perhaps supply a little bit of nourishment for as far as people are feeling that work in this industry, because it must be absolutely devastating. People have lost their jobs today. People are going to lose their jobs tomorrow,
every day,
and the next day, and the next day, as this thing gets worse. And so a simple thing like going and buying a coffee or eating in a cafe or ordering some takeout food, from one of these suppliers is going to keep someone in work. So just think about that when next you need something to eat, and please support our local hospitality industry. Thank you for your time. Good luck to both of you, and good on you for bringing this to our attention and having a crack.
Dean, thank you for letting us talk about it.